Hi, people. Good evening. It's very nice to be here with you. I am Andrea. I am Seminole English for Professionals owner, and we are here today to talk about a very interesting issue. So, if you can help us sending our live to other people who you think um, can be a good person, somebody that wants to learn a lot of English. Hi, Roberval, it is very nice to have you here. And now we are going to talk a little bit about this very important issue that is public speaking. And the theme of the live today is I'd rather die than give a speech. What is this? It's if you think it's I prefer to die than speak in public. Hi Elisa, hi Mariana, it's very nice to have you here, people. So, and tell me here, where are you from? What if you need to speak English if you have public speaking every day, if you need to talk to people every day, because you know that public speaking is not only to be in a public, on a stage, talking to a lot of people. No, public speaking is when you speak every day. You speak with your team, you speak with your friends, you speak with everybody. So, tell me here, do you speak in public? Well, my invited person is not here. I will call him, people, just a moment. Well, you can get this time and call other people to come here to speak English with us. It's nice to see you here, Fatima. My friend Fatima is a very nice person. I love her. So, I'm going to call here my super boyfriend. Hello, Camila. It's nice to have you here. Camila Rodrigues, my friend too. And she also wants to learn English. So, people, I'm going to start here. I told you we are Seminole. We work for training English, practicing English with other people. And this time we are... thank you, Fatima. So this time we are working on training, on inviting people to study and to be here with us. And now I'm going to ask you a question, okay? Have you already suffered before giving a speech? Tell me here. I suffered a lot in the past because when I started my university course, for me, it was a nightmare. And for you, tell me, people, you can answer my questions, okay? Another question. Have you already felt your mouth dry before entering the stage? Have you already talked? Have you already speak in public in a stage when with a lot of audience, a lot of people? So, this is terrible, isn't that? And there is another question here that are symptoms. We feel that in our physical, in your body. Okay, that's why I'm asking you. And these are the symptoms of not being well when you are very... yes, Fatima, you use it to be terrible too. For me, it was a nightmare. It was terrible. And have you felt nausea or a feeling of panic when you face it with having to speak in public? So, there are people who really feel bad. And there are also people who stop in front of the public and start laughing all the time. So That's terrible. I saw a girl doing that, then after I will tell you about it. So that's the subject we are going to talk tonight, because we are going to talk about a very terrible problem when we need to speak in public, okay? The fear of public speaking. Well, people, if you can, please send this invite to other people to come here to speak English with us. If you can, if you have idea of what time is. Okay, Fatima, me too. I love to speak in public. Oh, my invited person arrived here, the super teacher Cliff. So, Amanda, nice to have you here. So then Cliff arrived in the right point. He needs to speak about the problem, the phobia of public speaking. So, do you know the name of it? The name of phobia of public speaking is glossophobia. Okay, I have the name written here because I didn't know how to say the word. So, hi, Cliff. How are you doing?
Hello. How you doing?
Fine. So, who doesn't know, this is Cliff. He's my partner. He's my boyfriend, and we work together at Seminole, English for Professionals. And now, Cliff, I need you to tell people what is glossophobia. Can you continue here, please?
Glossophobia. Glossophobia is the fear of speaking in public. Did you tell them about the survey already?
Yeah, no, not yet. I was talking to them about the symptoms of suffering public speaking.
All right. Yeah, glossophobia is the fear of speaking in public, and that affects 3 in 4 people, 75% of the population. I think it's funny because we always refer to a study from UCLA a couple years ago where they asked Americans to rank their fears, right? And the number 4 fear is death, right? The 4th fear in people's lives is dying. And the number 1 fear among Americans is public speaking, right? The fear of giving a speech, glossophobia, right?
And this kind of thing, people, is terrible because in 2006, I did a public speaking course in São Paulo. It is in an institute that is not very famous anymore. Have you already heard about Reinaldo Polito? It's an institute for public speaking. And I was there with more than 1,000 people in the audience. And we needed to go in front of the audience and say in the microphone, hi, my name is Andrea, I'm from Lorena, and I'm here because I want to learn how to speak in public. Okay. But there was a girl, she entered the public in front of the audience, and she started laughing. So Reinaldo Polito was the best teacher of public speaking in Brazil, in Portuguese. I have never told about it to you. About what? About my experience about Reinaldo Polito. It's very nice. I don't know if he's working with public speaking anymore, João. But you can look for him on internet because his course was really good. And then the girl started laughing, and he tried to save her. But it was impossible. I believe she was very sensitive and very stressed, and poor her, because it was not because she wanted to laugh.
The interesting thing, this thing of laughing when we're nervous is a common thing. It's a common reaction when you're in a situation where you feel uncomfortable, because if you smile or if you laugh, it helps you to establish a relationship with the other person, right? So we have this subconscious evolutionary thing that it's like, if you panic, start to laugh, and then you'll form a good rapport with the person, you know. And everybody's had that situation where you start laughing in class and the teacher's like, stop. And then you just start laughing more. And then other people around you start laughing, and nobody knows what's funny. But the more the teacher wants you to stop laughing, the harder it is to stop.
Yeah. So people, I would like to tell you here that at the end of the live, we are going to have a very, very interesting and very good information for you, because we are launching a very spectacular training, a very good thing for you, and I would like you to stay here to the end to listen to it, okay? So Cliff told us that about public speaking is the fear number one. How about you? Do you like to speak in public, or do you fear? Fatima told me she loves speaking public, but in Portuguese, not in English. Does anybody else would?
Well, I don't know. A lot of people create a kind of like build up a fear in themselves because they get anxious about their English level, and it's, you know, it's kind of a thing that you're creating in yourself. You're kind of building an anxiety that's not necessary. Andrea always tells us the same thing. Your audience wants you to succeed, you know.
Yeah.
You have something in common with audience when you show up. You're going to give a speech and they are there to hear you. Even if you're giving a speech and a person doesn't know who you are, you know, you're at a wedding and you have to give that speech at the wedding and you stand up, the people don't know you, but what do they want? They want to know who you are. They want to hear what you have to say. And they're actually really eager for you to do a good job. And nobody is there to criticize your pronunciation or to criticize your grammar, right?
But this was something I learned in a course at Sebrae. They said, when you have an audience, they want you to succeed, because nobody's there saying, oh, she's not going to have a good presentation. Because people, if there is somebody that wants to listen to you, it's because you have something interesting to say. And
I have another good example of that. This is from one of our students. You have foreign visitors in your facility, you know, you have people coming into your facility from overseas. And, you know, the way I put it is this: what is a positive outcome for you, right? Well, we're going to do business, right? I want to do business with these people. That's why they're here in the factory, because the positive outcome for me is I want to do business. And what is a positive outcome for them? The positive outcome for them, they came to Brazil, you know, a positive outcome for them is we're going to do business, right? So you have allies. The people who you're giving your presentation to, the people who you're welcoming into your factory or who you're giving your business presentation to, the positive outcome for everybody is let's do business, you know? So you have to think, I've got allies here. People who I'm giving my presentation to they might not be my friends at the beginning. They will be, right? They might not be your friends at the beginning, but they are your allies. They want the same thing you do.
Yeah. A lot of people here know that I worked for multinational companies, and Fatima also worked for them. And it was very interesting because who received every foreigner in the company was me. So it was very funny because it was a kind of public speaking too, and people from the gate called, Andrea, please come here. I have 3 international persons here. I need your help. And then it was very funny because I went there, I showed the factory, and then when I entered my office, everybody disappeared. I thought, my God, where are people? They were afraid to say hi because the person was not there to talk to them. But people, this is is also public speaking. Public speaking, not as Cliff always says, it's not only when you are on the stage that you are speaking public, but when you are everywhere, when you have someone to talk to.
Okay.
And here we also.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can go.
No, do you want to move into the tips?
Yeah. So it's important to say that for you to have a very good public speaking, it is important not only for your career or for public presentations, but also for your life, for everyday life, for career, travel, and other situations. So, Cliff, you can talk about the tips for public speaking here.
Yeah, we have 4 tips for you. Right? Our first one might seem kind of obvious, right? And that is to be prepared. Now, I think that the most important part about when you need to do something that you consider like giving a speech or making an introduction or something, the first thing is you're not performing, right? You're not an actor. You're not a singer. When I'm giving a presentation at work, or when I'm giving a speech on a stage, even if you have to talk in front of a church or whatever it is, you're not giving a performance. It's not like being Elton John or Mick Jagger. It's a conversation, right? You're going to have a conversation with the people. And what are the people there for? Well, you have information that you need to give them. So you need to prepare yourself. You need to dominate what it is that you have to say. And I'm not saying that you have to memorize your speech and make sure that you've got it word perfect, right? What you need to do is dominate the content material. You need to know exactly is what you need, what the audience needs to know. The audience needs to know something. That's why I'm talking to them. And I say audience, but the audience could be those visitors coming to your factory. The audience could be a person who you need to interview at work, right? It could be an audience of one. Public speaking still counts as an audience of one, right? But the most important part of it is that you are prepared. You know your content, and you need to focus on the content. Fatima said she's comfortable in Portuguese, but the thing is the people aren't there for an English lesson. If you have to give a presentation in English, right? They're not there for an English lesson. They're there because they want to know the production capacity of your factory. They want to know what technology you use, The people aren't there because they want to, like people come to me and want to learn about present perfect, right? But they're not interested in a grammar lesson. What they want to know is the information that they're there for, right? So focus on your information and be prepared.
Fatima is going to launch her courses in English. She's gonna launch abroad. And we are going to be her support. I'm sure about that. Okay.
I can't play poker, Fatima. I know the rules of poker, but I'm that kind of person that like when I get the good cards, you can look at me and say, "Oh, Cliff's got good cards."
Hi, Michelle. Nice to have you here. Michelle is here with us. The next 2 tips, I think they can be put together.
Can I do get organized? Because I have a good example for it, right?
Okay.
When you got to give a presentation, our second tip, guys, tip number 2 is to get organized. And there's different phases in it, but a part of it is how are you going to communicate? And we frequently see that a person wants to load their PowerPoint presentation with every piece of information that they're going to impart in their speech. That's not the purpose of a PowerPoint presentation. A PowerPoint presentation is like Instagram. It's like a television commercial. Your PowerPoint presentation should be stripped down to a specific number of communication tools. So if I give an effective PowerPoint presentation, if I put a color photograph on every slide, There's no use of color photographs. If I fill every slide with text, there's no use of the slides filled with text. So if I'm going to be speaking to an audience, I have to understand how I'm going to communicate and what's the right tool to communicate. Your PowerPoint presentation needs to tell the people those 3 or 5 key points that they need to walk away remembering. You know, they need to know the information from a graph. One graph, right? They need to see a specific part of the facility. One picture, right? They need to remember an important instruction. One slide with no more than 25 words, right? Oh no, but I need them to have more specific information. That's not what PowerPoint's for. Sometimes we got to use other tools. So if I need to give a presentation to 80 people, I need to know that in advance. I'm going to need to print out things for the people to hold in their hands, right? The content of the printout shouldn't be the same as the content of the PowerPoint slide, right? But I need to know that kind of thing. I need to know kind of simple physical things. And this is a thing that I saw a presentation. It didn't go very bad because the person improvised, but like they didn't have a way to get their PowerPoint presentation onto the projector at the place. Like they didn't have a compatible device to get the PowerPoint presentation onto the projector. And that's a physical limitation. As much as possible, we need to find ways around that. We need to find ways to deal with it. And like a simple tool, guys, is Google Drive. Anything that you think that you're going to need to interact with, you back it up on your Google Drive. In a worst case scenario, everybody has internet access. Most devices are connected these days. You can use Drive to put your PowerPoint presentation on. And you know, you're like, oh, I've got my PowerPoint on a pen drive, and a modern computer doesn't have a USB port. It's got a USB-C, right? So you have to think of that. Like, is there going to be a limitation there? I'm giving a speech for 80 people. I need 80 printed handouts when I go there. You know, I'm giving a speech for 12 people. I'm going to need the 12 printed handouts. Always nice to have a couple extra, but don't waste things, right? But you need to be organized for it. You need to know simple things like how long it's going to be, what time, and as far as, again, back to PowerPoint, let's go a maximum of 1 slide for 2 minutes of talking. If you have 15 minutes and 15 slides, no one will remember anything you said, and no one will remember your PowerPoint presentation. For 15 minutes, 5 slides is effective, right? Oh, but they need more information. So prepare a handout in advance and put the information in the same order as in your presentation. I actually have a specific reason for that as far as English is concerned, because if I'm giving a speech in my second language to an audience of people who are often in their second language, some of those people are you, sitting in the audience, not necessarily understanding every word, and it's helpful for them to have that handout. They can, you know, okay, I see what's on the PowerPoint slide, I get the information that's here, it's in the same order, and I can connect the dots and now understand what the speaker is saying.
Yeah, the next one, I have a terrible situation that I passed. It's a terrible personal experience. It's for you to review the equipment beforehand. When I needed to do a presentation of my graduation course, I was in São Paulo. And I needed to come back from São Paulo very fast because I needed to do my presentation. And at that time, I'm not going to say how many years before now, but we still use the hard disk. So imagine, I arrived
blue one.
I arrived at college with my hard disk. When I put it in the computer, what happened? It didn't open. And then, of course, I lost some grade on my presentation. And I told the teacher, okay, if you want, I can write here in the blackboard and I can explain. No, it's not necessary. You don't need to do that. Okay, we can reschedule. But people, it was terrible because I had a lot of work to do that. And I know my worst problem was because I was in São Paulo and I was with that hard disk for a long time inside my purse. So
and they were
you,
sensitive. Those floppies were sensitive to heat, to moisture, to cold, right?
yeah,
Like they
it
were
was
asking
terrible.
not to work, and they had that like physical piece that slid, right? You had to
Yeah,
keep them in a little plastic
everything.
box, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was terrible. It was a terrible situation because in reality I didn't have time to check the equipment before. But I could have called the college before and asked them. So people, oh look, I'm not in Lorena, I'm in São Paulo, I'm going to come very fast. And can we reschedule that? But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be free of my presentation. And I almost lost a semester of the college because I
Wow.
didn't have it. Yeah. Because the teacher didn't like me at all.
Even more importantly, if the teacher doesn't like you, be extra prepared, right?
Yeah.
Gosh, back
He didn't
then,
like.
if was it possible to you couldn't attach something big to an email, right? It would take forever. If you attached a presentation to an email, it would take forever to get, right? Yeah.
It was different. It
The internet was
were
different, right?
yes, everything was different that time. Internet didn't work very well. And then number 4?
Um, remember, you're if you have to stand in front of an audience, like the official thing of standing in front of the audience, you may, you may be concerned that you're not hearing anything from them, right? There are sometimes even cultural reasons for that. I was talking to Alessandra about that today, in fact, because we have different tolerances for silence and even different attitudes about how to behave for a public presentation. So Americans have no tolerance for silence. If we're in a conversation and Andrea stops talking, and I saw this data one time, Americans have a 0.75 second silence tolerance. Not 1 second, 0.75 seconds. That's actually faster than your reaction speed to brake your car, right? It takes you can tolerate silence for less time than it takes for you to brake your car, right? To stop your car. So an American, if you are pausing to think, gets nervous, subconsciously nervous, and then they will start to talk again. But this can cause problems because certain cultures, like in Finland and in Japan, the silence tolerance is much longer. A person in Japan can tolerate 2 or 3 seconds of silence before they'll start to talk. A Finnish person, it's 4 seconds or even longer, right? So you have to think. Sometimes it's cultural, right? But another thing about silence, I think everybody knows the song Stairway to Heaven, right? It's a famous song by a fantastic band, Led Zeppelin. And the band had prepared the song. They were on tour already, promoting another album. And they had prepared the song, they had rehearsed it, and then they decided, okay, we're going to introduce the new song on stage today. And no one in the audience had ever heard Stairway to Heaven before, right? Now Stairway to Heaven is a classic. If you were to see one of the members of Led Zeppelin with their new bands play Stairway to Heaven, you'd go crazy hearing the first sounds, hearing the first words, right? They played Stairway to Heaven, a long rock ballad, and the audience was just dead. But it was because they were amazed. That ended up being the most popular Led Zeppelin song. It's the song everybody remembers. But Robert Plant remembers turning to Jimmy Page and saying, I told you this song was no good, right? But really, the audience wasn't familiar with oh, hi, Lords, how you doing? Old friend of mine. The audience wasn't familiar with the song. So of course they were quiet. And there's another famous story of an American heavy metal band playing a concert in Scandinavia. And they said the people watched the whole show sitting down. An American crowd's jumping and waving their arms and headbanging. And they're there in like Denmark or something. And the people, like their long hair and their leather, politely sitting watching the heavy metal band play like you would watch an orchestra. So you might have a cultural cultural differences in how much silence that someone can tolerate. An important thing is that only you know your script, right? So I know I'm supposed to say these words in this order, but the audience doesn't know the script. So if I change the order of information, no one else knows, you know? I plan on presenting my information A, B, C, D, E. And what I do when I'm talking, I get nervous and I say A and then E. The introduction and then the conclusion. And I haven't given the audience any information. But they don't know that. And now I give them the background information, B, C, and D. And those people just think, man, that guy's good at giving presentations. He started us off with the introduction and the conclusion, and then he gave us the information that we needed to know. The audience has no way of knowing the script you've prepared. It's only you who knows the script. So you can't feel nervous if you switch the order of information. And I kind of have a bonus tip. This is a tip from preparing one of my students for a presentation, with an international presentation at work. They wanted to use some sophisticated sounding words in English, and there were some words that they had worked in that were words that they always had problems pronouncing. Guess what, guys? Don't use those. No one's forcing you to use that word that you think is sophisticated sounding. And if you try to work in a word you're nervous about, what's going to happen? You're going to focus on the word you're nervous about, and you're going to get to it, and the person, and you're going to stop because you're like, oh, the word I hate. Like I have a word in Portuguese that I have convinced myself. Literally, this is true. I have a word in Portuguese that I have developed 20 years of anxiety about. Liquidificador. I cannot pronounce that word. In a real life situation, I cannot pronounce that word. And we had to buy a blender. We had to go and buy a blender at the store. And I like worked myself up about it because I'm like, there's no way for me to ask for a blender without saying the word that I have practiced saying wrong for 20 years, right? But again, your audience doesn't know that. Your audience doesn't know the word that you are having problems with. So leave it out.
Welcome, Sydney.
Find that word. Hey, Sydney. Find that word that you're comfortable saying, you know? And for us in Brazil, you're more comfortable using words of Latin origin. So use the word of Latin origin that means the same thing, you know? And don't force yourself to work in the word that's going to make you nervous. Because we have this axiom about golf in the United States, you know. Golf is a very popular sport in the U.S. And there's a difference between a professional golfer, not a professional, but there's a difference between a good golfer and a bad golfer, right? So I play golf in the same golf course every Saturday. And on the third hole, there's a water hazard. That means there's a pond, right? And what happens every Saturday is I hit my ball into the pond. Right? And I do it every Saturday. And the bad golfer, is like, I've got to figure out a way to get around this because every game I'm losing 7 strokes, hitting my ball into the water hazard. The good golfer, same course, may also have a problem with my water hazard. But what the good golfer thinks is, I normally do hole number 10 in 3 strokes. I think I can do it in 2. Right? The good golfer is not going to waste his time focusing on the worst part of his game. The good golfer is going to focus his time on the best part of his game and how to make that better, right? And in speaking, it has to be the same thing. Don't be the bad golfer. Don't focus on that one word that's going to drag your presentation down. focus on the stuff that you're good at, and bring your audience's attention to that. And when they go home, that's what they're going to remember.
Yeah, we're right. And then, people, now I ask you, did you like the presentation? Did you like the tips we talked? Everything we are saying, we are chatting here. So put here, right here on the chat, because it's important for us to know about your opinion about everything, okay? So, and then I would ask you, oh, thank you, João, thank you, Fatima. And another question, are you afraid of public speaking? Do you have the symptoms we saw in the beginning of the presentation? So, now it's time to start working on it, right? Cliff?
Okay, guys. We have just launched our public speaking masterclass. It's going to be on September 18th from 2 to 6 p.m. Okay, that's 3 hours of class on public speaking with a little bit of bonus, a special pronunciation workshop to help you work on those sounds that they have in the English language that we don't have in Portuguese, and they give us a little bit of trouble when it's time to make a presentation or order lunch, right?
And Michelle is here with us. She's going to participate. I'm very proud of her, of having her. And so, people, if you feel, if you want to study a little bit, to come to this training, we are going to work. It's not going to be a very normal English classes, okay? It's a very different one, because we are going to work on your abilities of public speaking. If you want to know more, I'm going to put the invitation on the comments of our after live. I'm going to put something for you to know about it. You can contact me on Instagram, on WhatsApp for us to talk and to work on your enrollment, and you come and study with us. It's gonna be on Zoom, okay? And it's gonna be on Zoom and the classes are live classes, okay?
You have to register in advance, guys. You have to register in advance. It's a Zoom class. It's not open on Instagram. So you have to register. You have to get your invitation to the class before it starts.
Yeah, if you want to know more, just let us know, and we are going to talk about it, okay? Yes.
Click the link in the description below. I've always wanted to say that. Click the link in the description below.
Yeah, you are going to have the link of our WhatsApp. Yes, Michelle also invited a friend. Gabrielle is gonna be on our master class too. João is gonna be with us too. Okay, people. So that's what. Oh my God, my tongue is.
Liquidificador.
Yes, it's like liquidificador tonight. Okay, people, that's what we wanted to talk to you tonight. Next Monday, we are going to have another one. So you are invited to participate again. And invite people to come again, and let's talk about public speaking, okay? We are going to have lives every week until. Bye-bye, people.
See you guys on Monday. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.